level, what are the requirements? What are we looking or up against when it comes to the requirements and recommendations that we have from the Department of Ed? So with that, I'll turn it over to Superintendent Bernal.
Thank you. Chair Aparicio, much appreciated. I'll wait for Cindy to bring up real quick. Just have a few slides to share with you tonight. And again, as Chair Aparicio said, tonight we're really here just to listen and gather feedback from our community. Very interested in hearing what our community has to share with us, any feedback, any input that you have as it relates to reopening our schools. I'm really just going to share with you briefly a few highlights. Next slide. D21's main goal and priority is that we want to safely reopen our schools for full-time in-person learning 5 days a week. That would be on August 30th, 2021, and we want to remain open all year long. As we transition back to school, we want to focus on care and connection. We want you to know it is our priority to create spaces where your child feels safe, cared for, and connected to their learning environment. The transition back to school may prompt a range of emotions for you and or your child, from stress and uncertainty to excitement and opportunity. Each of our schools are working on implementation plans that include strategies for creating environments that are focused on care and connection with one another. It's important to remember that our communities will be living with this virus until there is widespread immunity. COVID-19 continues to change with these new variants, and our knowledge of mitigation efforts grow over time. Right now, the best tools to protect individuals are vaccination for those that are eligible, physical distancing, face coverings, ventilation and airflow, hand hygiene, and staying home if ill or exposed to someone with COVID-19. Opportunity for transmission decreases with each mitigation effort that's implemented. Reopening plans being developed in accordance with the Ready School Safe Learners Resiliency Framework for the 21-22 school year is what we're utilizing as our framework, and that's what we're required to use with the ODE. And there's a link here that you can utilize and review that framework. Some of the required components of that framework include, on our school buses, all children will be required to wear face coverings. That's described by the CDC's order for mandatory use of face coverings on public transit. And this order remains in effect until lifted by the federal government, and that cannot be waived by state or local authorities. Additionally, on August 2nd, 2021, the Oregon Health Authority adopted a rule requiring face coverings in all K-12 indoor school settings. And this rule requires that all individuals over 2 years of age wear a face covering while indoors in a K-12 school setting during school hours. Certain accommodations for medical needs or disability may be necessary, and the OHA will be reviewing this rule on a monthly basis to determine the need for it to continue. In addition, as many of you know, just recently, Governor Brown is instituting a statewide reinstated mask mandate for all, and effective tomorrow, all persons ages 5 or older must wear a face covering in all public indoor spaces, regardless of vaccination status, at all times except when engaged in the following activities: actively eating or drinking, and while alone in a private office enclosed by walls on all sides with the door that's closed. Other requirements we will be required to do include maintaining a communicable disease management plan, excluding students and staff who may have been exposed to certain illnesses, maintaining an isolation space in schools, and submitting a plan for operation. We also have a lot of contingency planning going on. At this time, the ODE is requiring all school districts to plan for reopening full-time 5 days a week for in-person learning. Although at the same time, school districts across Oregon and across the nation are also doing alternative planning in the event the state pivots and we're given different direction. We are also looking at options for alternative online learning for some of our immunocompromised students and also our medically fragile students. And we are planning for that as well. We do want to make sure our community is aware of some upcoming events. The ODE and the OHA have announced there's a town hall meeting for parents that they are hosting next week. It's a Facebook Live event. It will be held on Monday, August 16th from 6 to 7. So we encourage parents to attend that, where we'll be talking more in depth about all of the requirements and what to expect with the upcoming school year. And then, as Chair Aparicio said, next Thursday we'll be having a work session with our entire leadership team where we will be going into more in depth our draft reopening plan for the school year. Lastly, I just want to talk just a little bit about shared responsibility. We have more than a year of practicing health and safety protocols, and schools have demonstrated that utilizing a layered approach to mitigation measures, we have been highly effective at limiting the spread of COVID and being able to keep school open. Everyone in our community shares in this responsibility to keep our communities safe and healthy. And in order to return to full-time in-person instruction, this responsibility requires each person to maintain their own health and to take actions to protect the health of those they come in contact with. So really tonight, we just want to hear from whoever wants to share with us. We are interested in hearing from our community, and as we continue to share information about our reopening plans, we encourage you to reach out to us and share with us, give us your input, give us your feedback, let us know how you're feeling. And we want to be able to take that feedback as we continue to draft our reopening plans. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Bernal, for that information. Before we kind of get started with folks that want to comment and speak tonight, I'll just do kind of a last call. If anyone is interested, please come up now and get you on the list. Anyone? Once, twice? Okay. Oh. Yep. She wraps that up. Anyone else? Okay, we've got both in-person and written comments. I will be saving the written comments to the end. I will read them word for word as submitted. So right now we'll shift and start our listening session. And first up is Tom Conklin. So Tom, come up. So I'll just make just a general reminder before Mr. Conklin starts speaking. But we'll be capping presentations at 3 minutes each. Speakers may offer objective criticism of district operations and programs, but the board will not hear comments regarding any individual district staff member. If you do have a complaint against a staff member, I'll direct you to board policy KLG or GBM, complaint for consideration of a legitimate complaint involving a staff member. If you all, on the flip side, if you have a commendation involving a staff member, that should be sent to Superintendent Bernal, who will forward it to the employee and his or her supervisor, as well as the board. So with that, Mr. Conklin, the floor is yours.
Okay, I don't want to start for 3 minutes yet, but I'm a physical education teacher at Conrad Elementary. And Jumpstart basketball camp, 109 degrees. How's it going with those masks?
Really well, actually.
Is it? How are you getting that cardiovascular going, Brian?
What do you mean? We're playing basketball.
Yeah. It's working out okay?
Yeah, perfectly.
More importantly, 110 degrees. What you got here?
Yeah, they see.
That's like that. Good job. I want to congratulate each of you board members for being here. Welcome to the school district. It's going to be a great year. Because kids are in session. I'm totally excited about it. My 3 minutes haven't started yet. This time last year, I was really impressed. Probably the most impressed in all my years of teaching because kids were coming back. They were my neurotransmitter, my endorphin charge, and they couldn't come back. You could see that in the kids. You could see that in the staff. So I just have nothing but good to say about what I anticipate. Kids are coming back. There we go. I just want to read this to you. I gave a copy of it to you too, and it'll take 2 minutes to read it. Students and staff, parents, all have been encouraged to get the vaccine. For what? So we can take the masks off and go on as normal? That was the original plan this time last year. That was the right idea. Now it doesn't matter if you're vaccinated because you will still be required to wear a mask. Whether masks or not, it transmits. Whether vaccinated or not, it transmits. Where does it end? Now teachers and students, potentially by October, if they don't comply, there's a threat of being fined $500 or maybe even get your teacher's license taken away. Instead of using a union as a sounding board for our community, and what we should do, why not use the parents? Leave the decisions up to the parents. If they want to wear masks, let their child wear masks. If they don't, then they don't. You know, to enforce it, that's a tough thing. Let the parents parent, not the government. There will always be new variants, sicknesses, illnesses. When will it end? People know about the COVID vaccine. It's all over. They have made choices. They understand, and they understand the risks that come with that as well. If mandated, the school district now becomes liable for any mishap due to this mandate. I can't imagine the enormity of what that possibly could be. Maybe not. Maybe not. The OHA, the Oregon Health Authority, made a temporary rule for hospitals on August 5th, 2021. I thought this was a really neat idea. Requiring healthcare workers to be fully vaccinated or undergo COVID-19 testing at least weekly in order to work in a healthcare setting. There's a good option. If the higher standard for hospital settings is this, wouldn't it be approved to consider this for our educational setting as well? You know, you guys represent our school district. You represent the people, the teachers, the students. You're our protectors to whatever comes out of Salem. You're it. We're counting on you guys to make the best decision, not them telling us. You know what I mean? We're counting on you. You're the protectors. That's why we come to you for this. There are 6 states that, for state employees, require vaccination, or, given the choice, they can be tested once a week. That's a choice. Those are 6 states: Hawaii, Washington, California, New York, Delaware, anyways. It's essential, I'm closing. It's essential at this point of our nation's history to look at what other school districts throughout the nation are doing, not just what Salem is shoveling off to us. We think for ourselves. You represent us, and we trust you to make the best decision for our town, for every citizen, student, staff, because we're all part of this tribe. So we just ask, please, when the time comes, don't back people in a corner. You have to choose this or that, because all of a sudden it creates, and that's what we don't want. We're finding ways to work together, and given choices, it gives us freedom. And I know when you guys signed up to be board members, one of the standards in your recitations were you were uphold the Constitution. And the Constitution is clearly stated in religious reasons, freedom of speech, and so that's all part of it in my opinion too. Again, I want to thank you for what you do, Cindy, for all the years that you do your job. You're doing well. I just hope you guys have a fantastic year. I pray this is the best year we ever had to do. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Conklin. Much appreciated. All right, next we have Jody Pitchen. And while Jody comes up, the one thing I just forgot is before you speak, if you can state your name, and then if you're speaking for an organization, just kind of name the organization as well. So.
be a little damp now.
Good evening. I am Jody Ketchum. I am a mother of 4 children, 2 of which are attending within our district. I teach 2nd grade at Cornwall Elementary and have been teaching for 21 years. However, today I am the newly elected D21 Education Association president, so that is the hat I am wearing. I will be speaking to you I'll be speaking to you as a representative
Of the D21 Education Association and the North Wasco ESP. What's that?
People say they can't hear very well.
Oh, you know what? It's not even on.
Can
you hear me now? I hope my timer starts. Okay, so anyway, I am the D21 Education Association president. My name is Jody Ketchum. All right, so my computer, of course, won't connect, so I'm going off of my phone for the presentation, so I apologize. I want to thank you all for allowing me to speak. I am, like I said, representing both unions and would like to extend a huge thank you to each of you for your dedication to our district. We also want to thank you so very much for allowing this listening session. It proves to everyone that you are a board that truly cares for all of the stakeholders. I would like to share the thoughts and feelings of our members that were shared with us through a survey we sent out this week. Regretfully, our members had less than 48 hours to respond, but yet we had 137, I believe it was, responses. In this survey, there were 3 questions. We did ask if they were licensed or ESPs. 60% that responded were licensed staff, 38% were ESPs. The first question was, how do you feel about the Oregon mask mandate requiring all students and staff members to wear masks in K-12 school? The response was 57.3% agree, 17.5% were neutral, and 22.2% disagreed. The second question was, if given the choice, would you like the opportunity to attend staff meetings virtually? The response was 73% yes and 21.6% no. The remaining 5.3% were undecided. The final question was, what would you like the school board to know about returning back to school this fall? Please use the space below to share any thoughts. There were more than 80 written responses. That is this stack right here that I will not be able to read all of. But I will do a summation for you, and for the sake of saving time and not watching me pass out from lack of oxygen for reading all those 80 responses, I will be sending the board a copy of those responses so that you can read each of them. So truthfully, our staff does have a very diverse perspective on working through this pandemic. I want to strongly encourage the board to please read every response, as the members were extremely thoughtful and showed their true concern and love for their students and fellow staff members through these comments. The majority of our comments, there were a lot of concerns about sick leave. We have a lot of members who are returning from maternity leave. We have a lot of members who had to be on medical leave at the end of the year or throughout recent years and don't have the sick leave. So there was a lot of concern of that. If they have to isolate, that will completely absorb all of their sick leave, not to mention the time you take for caring for your own children and all of those things. There were a lot of, yes, we need to have the masks. There were a lot of, please, please, please allow us to be in person full time. There were a lot of people wanting a slow start. Can we start with just half days so that the kids can get used to wearing the masks, especially for the younger kids? There was a lot of, no matter what, please allow the high school students to stay in school full time. There was such a wide range that I really hope that you will read each of these comments. I know it will take you time. It took me 2 hours to sort through all of them. And I know that's a huge time commitment, but I think that it is important that each member's voice be heard. So I encourage you to please do that. In closing, I would like to say what unites our members is how deeply they all care for our students and how dedicated they are to their success. So please ensure that our members have meaningful training on how we will safely educate our students to the best of our abilities. Not only what to do, but why. Also, please ensure that the district is investing in the equipment necessary to keep us all safe. If we are going to wear masks, we need to wear high quality masks. We need as good a ventilation and air filtration as possible in our buildings. And our unions are ready to partner with you and the administration to create the best possible learning environment for all of our students. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for that, Jody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next on the list is Mr. Rob Schwartz.
I don't need it wiped down, by the way.
Hi, I'm Rob Schwartz. I'm a family physician, urgent care physician, and anti-aging medicine physician for the last 37 years in the Gorge. I don't know if anybody has realized this, but this GMO virus that we're dealing with is not going to go away, ever. Just like the influenza is not going to go away. So we have to think of other ways of dealing with it. These masks are slightly effective. They're not as effective as you think. They're more psychological, or half psychological and half physical. I think the children should be wearing face masks, which cover their eyes and their mouth and nose. And the older people, as the teachers, should wear N95s and be fit tested. If you're not fit tested for a mask, they do very little good. There's so much to talk about for COVID. I don't want to take up that much time, but I think it's personally, it's about 1 in 100,000 children get sick from this disease. So I think covering their faces is, to me, it's child abuse, and anyone who orders it should be put in jail. If you're afraid of their spread, then you wear a mask. You can double mask and triple mask and be protected from them. We just had an outbreak in the city where several people died. The average age was 83, and it was in a nursing home where everybody was masked and protected and screened the whole time. So just wearing these and physically separating is not going to do it. This is going to be here for your life, for your children's life, and all the lives of the children away. We're not going to get rid of this. So we have to think of other things. The superintendent said that there was some mitigation factors we could use. I think we should be using vitamin D, zinc, vitamin C every day in every person. That's been shown to mitigate the virus more than anything else. We should be discussing obesity in our youth and in our adult population. That's one of the main factors of mortality and morbidity. So enough of COVID. I also wanted to talk about the recent bill that was passed by our blessed governor. I think it's SB 744, if I'm not mistaken. I wanted to know if that's going to affect the curriculum in this school. And if it is, I'd like to know about it so I can make adjustments for my own children's sake. I also wanted to talk about or ask about any implementation of CRT programs in our school, and if that's a concern to me. I personally hated history when I went to school. I didn't think it was taught right, and I do like to learn all of history. I study it a lot, but I don't like being lied to, and I don't like being becoming tribal people where we end up hating each other. This is a great country. You don't see 214,000 people coming across our border because we're so racist, last month. You don't see people leaving the country, they're coming here. So we may have racism problems. That's just human nature. The more we live together, the more we respect each other. When you tribalize people, that's when you end up having problems. So that's all I have to say for now. I'd like to discuss anything more in depth with you aside from this public hearing.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Mr. Schwartz. Tonight's kind of more of a one-way communication, so we're going to be doing listening. And so, you know, some of the elements you brought up, we will definitely make sure to kind of make sure that we can respond or address in the future meeting. So I appreciate for your comments tonight. All right. Next, we have Shakina Foley.
Hi, my name is Shakina Pauline, and I'm a parent of last year one student at Dry Hollow, and then I will have 2 there this year. And my questions are mainly regarding let's see here, regarding allowing parents in the building, because I personally have a very big problem with not being involved in my child's education. And I want to be able to volunteer in the classroom and bring in snacks and be able to enjoy those things. And also, I'm a little concerned about having the water fountains and things of that sort wrapped. Psychological effect, but for the most part, making sure that my kids have enough water during the better part of the day. And my son did very well going to Dry Hollow last year, and we really appreciated the teachers and all the effort that they put in. And he did well in person, and sorry. But when we went back online, for him personally, it ended up being really difficult. So I truly appreciate this effort to be in person 5 days a week, and see here. And I hope for the best for everyone for this coming year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shakina. All right, next on the list we have Zora Richardson.
Good evening. My name is Zora Richardson, and although I am the Executive ASB President at the Dallas High School, this evening I'm speaking to you as a student. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you for all of your work as a school board to get us back in person. Last year was really rough on a lot of students that I know and whom I've spoken to. High school level classes are just not meant to be taken online. They're meant to be in person, and we really appreciate all of the work that you are doing to get us back there. Secondly, when I've been speaking to my peers about their feelings regarding the coming terms, we're all very excited, but there is quite a bit of anxiety mingled with that, both socially and health-wise. Every student that I have spoken to is either vaccinated or wishes to be so, and wishes that their community would do the same so that we can have a safer learning environment and we can have our proms and our homecomings. And we know that those things might not be a reality. And I wish I had a solution for you, and I don't, but I just wanted to share that health and safety is a big concern among most of our students, especially those who live with grandparents or with other high-risk people that we all want to be in person and we're excited, but we are aware of the health risks that come with that. And we would just like to encourage you as a school board to continue to encourage the things that are keeping us healthy and keeping us safe so that we can have as normal a high school experience as possible. Thank you.
Sure. It's always great hearing the student perspective as well. Let's see, next we have Benjamin Warren.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Warren. I'm a community member. I do not yet have kids, but having moved to the Dalles, it's a nice community, and one day I hope to raise kids and maybe send them to these schools. I have a severe problem with everything we're forcing the children to go through to quote unquote fight the virus. Masking, distancing, putting up plastic barriers. I'm not sure if you're doing that in these schools. I've seen it done elsewhere. When I was growing up in the 1990s, there was this big push to protect the children with peanut allergies by banning peanuts from the schools. You couldn't have peanut butter served at lunch, and you couldn't bring peanut butter snacks. Women were encouraged to avoid nuts while they were pregnant or while they were breastfeeding. As a result, the percentage of people who had a severe peanut allergy went up because children were not being exposed to peanuts and their bodies were not learning to deal with them. That's the way we work for so many things. We are anti-fragile. We have to be exposed to new things, be exposed to in moderate doses. I'm not saying chuck the kids in the pigsty, but the harder you try to protect children, the weaker you make them, the more you hurt them. And this is true biologically as well as psychologically. The more you try and when you force them to wear masks, when you put up barriers, when you wrap drinking fountains in plastic, you're communicating to them that the world is an obscenely dangerous place for a virus that has killed, maybe 200 children in North America? I don't know the exact stats. I don't know how many of them had comorbidities. But this virus does not touch the very young. But masking rules, social distancing rules will. And it will mess them up for life. Because when they're that young, they get anxious, very anxious. I had some issues growing up as a teen. I self-isolated. I did not get out and meet people. I basically spent my all my free time in my room and not talking to everybody. And it took me until my late 20s to get my head screwed on straight because of that anxiety, because of those barriers I put up. So please do not put barriers up around children, and do not tell them that the world is out to get them. Do not tell them that the system is against them. Do not tell them that racism is pervasive or that they always have to think about power dynamics. That's just a recipe for a whole generation of very confused, very frightened, and very maladjusted children. Yeah, I realize that you guys want what's best for. No, let me rephrase that. You want our children to get the best education they have. education is very important. Education sets these kids up for life. So, but you also got to remember there's a difference between good intentions and reality. You can have great intentions and still mess up horribly. So please just step back and think about where all this stuff is leading us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Benjamin. Much appreciated. All right, that is all who signed up. So I will start reading the ones that were submitted in writing. I will again just have these up here while I'm reading. If you do have or would like to speak, I'm still going to leave it open because I think it's important to hear from everyone that does want to speak tonight. I don't know, after hearing some speakers tonight, if that stirs something up or wanted you to also speak as well. So we'll leave it open and I will get going on the written comments that were submitted. So this is from Kelly Thompson, and it reads, as a concerned parent, this district really needs to take a step back and really open the eyes of all to get back to what really matters and what is best for our children. There was a huge lack and delay of last year in getting back to a routine, and that still wasn't good. The school district in a town not much smaller than ours, with Cook County, is taking a stand and standing up for our rights as humans to let everyone make their own choices. Also, Deschutes County, a much larger district, is not requiring masks. If there are teachers, parents, and kids concerned, let those ones wear a mask to school. It should not be required for all kids. This does more harm than it does good. There is clearly no proof that any of this works if the numbers keep going up. A mask, a vaccine, none works. If people who are vaxxed have to still wear one, what sense does that make? Clearly, it doesn't work. Step up and make a stand. If you don't, what does that show these kids that you are all trying to teach to be good humans and stand up for what is right? The schooling system has been flawed for many, many years and continues to go down that path. Demanding kids to wear masks for 6 hours a day, 5 days a week is ludicrous. There is no proof that kids have been an issue for the last year and a half. Why would you add mask policing to your staff's job description? They didn't go to school for that. There has not even been one time the schools have allowed them to go to school without masks to really determine how bad it is for themselves. You are going off numbers that are highly inflated as your decision to just be a follower instead of a leader. What is going to happen? Shut the school down? If enough people stand up, not much you can do. A few years back, when there was a supposed measles outbreak, the schools never shut down. There is a huge agenda behind all of this. What sense does it make that people can now go to many events and there's nothing required, but for schools and kids, yet again, failing them or being punished? It's like voluntarily sending our kids to prison by sending them to school nowadays. The sad thing is my kids want to go for the social aspect, being around peers to learn as best they can, and sports. So they are being desensitized to a mask that this is normal. It is not, never will be. These kids need way more help and love and support than they are shown this last year and a half. The numbers of suicide, abuse, starvation, and depression are way higher than any virus. This has to stop, and it starts at the top. Make a change and stand up for these kids that you are choosing to be involved in their lives by being a superintendent of a school district. They need you to have their back. You can make a change. Hope you do what is right. Signed, Kelly Thompson. Our next written comment is from Rachel Gill. Hello, I am a local physician and mom, and I support the mask mandate for the Dallas schools. COVID spread has increased in our community, and masks have been proven to slow the spread of the virus. They are a tool that can protect our community's most vulnerable. We have a small hospital that is not equipped to deal with a huge influx of COVID and has already been strained by the recent uptick in cases, causing MCMC to initiate its emergency preparedness plan. We have to do all we can to protect our, excuse me, we have to do all we can to protect our children who are not yet vaccinated and the people of our community who either cannot or choose not to be vaccinated. Masks do that and are a simple measure that will allow our kids to attend school safely and in person. Thank you, Rachel Gill, MD. The next written comment is from Cassie Ware. Dear North Wasco County School Board and staff, I want to thank you for the dedication and care you all regularly display. Your commitment to our community is outstanding, especially in such difficult times. I know that the district is committed to following the guidelines and mandates put out by our governor, the Oregon Health Authority, and the Oregon Department of Education. I commend you and thank you for adhering to the law and to the wisdom in these guidelines. Like every rural populace, we experience our own unique numbers of vaccine rates and of COVID-19 cases. We are our own little biosphere, if you will. In light of this, is the district working on any threshold for when/if we switch to distance learning that correspond with our local caseload specifically? Separate from what the above mentioned entities may recommend, is the district prepared to make the call about distance learning if we need it for our community, regardless of what the statewide numbers look like and state authorities recommend? If so, is there a threshold for that decision in place? If not, why not? Again, thank you for your efforts and diligence, for your commitment to our community, and for the wisdom you display in keeping our kids safe. You are all appreciated. With best regards, Cassie Ware. Our fourth and final one is from Andrea Dorzak. Dear Wasco County School Board, thank you for your service to our school district and most importantly, our beloved school children. I write to you as a parent of children in the school district and the spouse of a teacher. I'm writing to you today to ask you to remove the mask requirement for school next year for both teachers and students, regardless of their vaccination status. I am pro-health and am not against science or vaccines. I prefer to follow the science and the data as it applies to our district and our school children. Governor Brown made it very clear that the majority of health and safety protocols, including face coverings and physical distancing, are advisory, meaning school districts, public charter schools, and private schools will have the option to implement as appropriate. When reviewing the pediatric data through OHA website, we see the total positive, presumptive positive cases across the entire state since the pandemic started is 36,287 in ages 0 to 19. In those 9 and under, only 1.2% of these resulted in hospitalization, and in those 10 to 19, it was an even smaller number at 0.8%. Not one of these children died from COVID. Based upon this data, children are not at risk for severe disease and death. In Wasco County, our total COVID numbers are 1,420, and she cites a web link here. Currently, our county has a low percent positivity rate at 1.1%, again with a citation to OHA's website, and a vaccination rate of 61%. We are well on our way to the governor's goal of 70%. This data does not warrant children wearing masks. Nonverbal communication is critical for social development. We are sending our elementary children off to school where they meet lots of adults, strangers, whom we tell them to trust. Learning to read nonverbal body language and trust their own instincts in various situations is an important skill that children need to hone and develop. Utilizing facial expression is a key way of determining sincerity and safety. While many will say it's only a mask, It's no big deal. I disagree. It is not harmless. JAMA Pediatrics published this paper on increasing CO2 levels in children wearing masks for extended periods of time. And again, she cites the website for that. Hopefully you have also seen the news story about parents who sent their children's masks to a lab to determine all the microbes growing on them after only one school day. Again, another website citation from rationalground.com. If you have the slightest biology background, you can imagine the robust results. Masks do have a place, especially when worn properly. However, single-use masks are not intended to be worn for several hours at a time, and most often in the case of children, cloth masks are not replaced/washed before the following day. Children do not wear masks properly. Given our relatively low COVID burden for the school children of Wasco County, I plead with you to consider this data as you draft policy for the upcoming school year. Please remember too, that while students may be required to wear masks when indoors at school, many of these children leave school and have multiple unmasked indoor play dates and sleepovers. They are often around their classmates outside of school. I encourage you to consider a mask optional policy. The following Oregon districts have said no to mask restrictions in the fall: West Lynn, Wilsonville, Newburgh, Canby, Silverton, Dallas, Redmond, Medford, Pendleton, Crook, and Oregon Trail School District. Sincerely, Andrea Dorzan. All right, so that concludes all the written comment. I'll do one final call. Anyone interested or was inspired to say something if they weren't planning on originally? Just please come up and just share your name with us.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm definitely not prepared. Hello, Jennifer Gunter, mother of 4, senior and a soon-to-be 8th grader. Hi, Brian. Brian knows I'm a very passionate person, but listening to the other concerned anyways, let's just move forward. I have actually many different questions. I've started to go through this resiliency framework. One question I have is, and maybe you all don't have this posted, maybe I missed it, like this gentleman here volunteering his time to wipe down everything. Will that be done in every classroom by who? Who are we hiring to do that? Who are we adding to the budget? Not only that, and it goes into, you can go into a million discussions of, oh, well, it's summer, they're wearing shorts. What type of chemicals are you using? And then, you've got to post the, oh, I should know this because I'm a licensed esthetician, the hazmat sheets, all that. That's one thing. Zora so gracefully got up and spoke about her peers that are, I hate to use the word pro-vax, but are willing to vaccinate, who are eager to vaccinate. Well, I want to speak about those that choose not to, that are of childbearing years, for a vaccine that is a recommendation and not approved. I'd also like to speak about tuberculosis. 2.4 million deaths in 2019, according to the World Health Organization. What have we done here for that? My other question is, our gracious governor keeps extending these executive orders. What is that, for life, every 6 months? Till my grandkids are in school? I'd also like to know, under the executive order, the law number that requires us to wear a mask. Not because it said so. I want it provided. Sorry, guys, not prepared, just going off the wing. You'll probably hear from me again next time. So when COVID hit, I had a senior in high school who missed out on the last third of her senior year. She was lucky enough to go through her senior season with Brian as the basketball coach. We had a great basketball family. I would add that the end of 2019, every single one of us on that team, I'm going to speak, I don't know about the Lebrettons, but I'm going to speak for the rest of our family, our sports family. Parents and children were sick. Dr. Schwartz is my personal doctor. I was sick for a very long time. I am prone to asthma, pneumonia, bronchitis. I think a lot more people in this community and in this world in general have been exposed to this virus, have had it, have had immunity to it now. Of course, that is all perspective and personal opinion, but what are we doing for the people that by the CDC standards, fever, no taste, no smell, cough, who fit that, fit that description, the end of 2019 all the way into 2020, that were not part of the statistics, that were not able to be tested at those times, but they fit the bill. They have the immunity. I have been on 9 different flights since COVID has hit. I have not once come down or even contracted as much as a cold since I was sick with what I believe was COVID. My children have been exposed to it, nothing. Why, if we're doing so much here as far as masks and safety protocols, how are you really truly controlling that? Because they're in this outside world. You're taking to the grocery store, there's no distancing there, there's no somebody marking or wiping down everything that we ever touch. So to me, it's futile. Effort is effort, which is good. But unless you're doing this in a strictly movie set, completely hazmated, eye protection, I mean, it's virology 101. My husband, he's a biologist. Nobody knows that because of our business, but he's very educated. I mean, I don't know, guys. I think I have a lot of questions that keep circling in my head. And like I said, you'll hear from me again. So those are my speaking points for tonight. Thank you very much. Superintendent, welcome to our tiny community. This is a very unfortunate time to be broken in. So it is what it is, right? So anyways, again, thanks. Yeah.
All right. Official last call. And there's the last call a couple times, but officially make last call. Gotta take it. All right.
My name is Dorothy Hanson. I have a student in the high school. I have asthma and I'm claustrophobic. So I can tell you that sitting back there for this last hour is agonizing and I could just about pass out. But yet you want to make our kids sit through class like this? I am sorry, but this is ridiculous. And yet you also keep wanting to push a vaccine that I am definitely afraid to even get when they're bribing people to get it. I am sorry, if a vaccine is that good, people should want to do it on their own, not be given $50 or drinks at the dang bar. So you really need to start thinking about what you're going to do to these kids, because this mask is not helping. All it's doing is isolating kids. When I think of a mask, I can't even go into a bank with people have to wear a mask because I'm sorry, that's a bank robber. I don't want to be around people that all I see is their eyes. I want to know who they are. When you go to the DMV, you have to take your mask down to get a picture. You're breathing when you take it down. Your germs are everywhere. You go to the grocery store, you touch the produce, you touch the things on the shelf. Nobody goes behind you and sanitizes it all. So the next person, if you didn't take that item home with you, is going to touch it. This is ridiculous.
I feel bad for all the teachers that had to get criticized by parents for having to do that online schooling that they are not trained to do. People were comparing them to the online schooling programs. Those teachers are taught and have all the stuff that they need to actually educate our kids. The last couple of years, the education the kids have been getting, it's not the teacher's fault. It's the state's fault. It's our governor's fault. It's anyone who's been allowing this to happen. Our kids need to be in school, have their masks off if they want to, and I do not want the kids to be being pushed to have the vaccination. That is a choice in their homes. The school should have no bearing on that and no pushing of it or advertising of it. The city can do it, any of them, but the school needs to stay out of it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. This was awesome. I think we got a lot of things to navigate through, COVID and everything else. And so this is super helpful. Leading up to this, I couldn't help but see articles of other districts doing this and going south, and I'm like, I don't see that here. We may disagree as a community, but we all together with the kids. I see that time and time again, and I see this no different. One thing we can always agree on is
we want to do whatever it takes, whatever is necessary for the best of our kids. We may have different opinions, and that's okay. We learn from each other and make the best decisions possible at the end of the day for our kids. So I'm extremely thankful for everyone that showed up today. I know taking your dinner time, your evening, just to be here with us does take commitment. I acknowledge that, but thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate all of you guys that spoke tonight. I know some of you shared personal stories and information. I know that's not easy, but thank you so much, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening.
There were several questions asked.
Oh,
There were several questions asked.
yes. So we've got. I take notes per usual when people speak. We will get that, and so stay tuned for next week. So the 19th, again, we'll have this meeting, and we'll actually have our staff present the draft plans, and hopefully we'll bring some of that and try and answer all the questions that came up today, because they were great. And let's see, Jennifer, if you have more questions, just please email them to us or Cindy so we can get that, and then we can get those responded to and kind of develop within the presentation next week.